Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking, you're always looking for and finding the good. You found good in abundance because you consciously tuned into Ion Las Vegas with your humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. Notice I didn't say the ambassador of joy, the ambassador of joy. And you know that in this show, we bring to you some of the most remarkably interesting, powerful, positive, purposeful, pleasant people on the planet, because that's what Las Vegas is all about. It's about a place of opportunity, about freedom, about growth, about doing and giving and contributing. And I just want to tell you one quick thing about this place. So 2 words, Las Vegas. Now, I privileged to travel around the world. I meet people by this means and also in person. And whenever I mention Las Vegas, people's eyes bug out and they lean in. Everybody knows about this place, right? Let me tell you something. If you take the entire population of New York City and everything around it, the entire population of Chicago, Illinois, everything around it, the entire population of Los Angeles, California, everything around it, it doesn't add up to the number of people that come to, through, and for Las Vegas in a given year. 41 plus million people come here. And they come here because it is a place of excitement and such. And you're just going to love it. So I am just so touched and honored and humbled to be able to introduce you right now to one of the people that actually makes things happen in Las Vegas. He builds. Yes, he builds and builds more and more all the time. So please welcome, say hello to fabulous Mark Orshoski. Mark, please say hello to 507,922 people around the world.
Well, hello, 507,000 people from around the world.
So if you're watching this, you say, Mark, you don't look like a builder. You're sitting inside of a car. Are you homeless? You're living in your car? And if you're listening to it, you hear this wonderful voice, upbeat and such. So the answer is no, he's traveling and he's consented to be with us for this little bit of time to share with us some ideas and insights and things that of the more than several decades that he's been involved in building. And I see building means really building communities and sustainable, beneficial places for people all over. So I would start telling you all the things that Mark has done, from being in Las Vegas and going into the Army Infantry, going to UNLV and all that stuff. We'll take the rest of the show. So I'm just going to give you 2-3 highlights. Number 1, great guy. Number 2, words of wisdom. And number 3, you will find that it's going to be useful. So I'm urging you, don't write anything down. Just lean in and let this flow through you and around you. Everything you want to know about Mark is in the show notes, and just watch it again. You can listen to it again and again. That's why we record it. And then you can write things down and listen and ask notes and such like that. So right now, what I want you to do is make sure you share this with 5 people around the world so we can touch 2.5 million people. Love us on Spotify and Apple. Now, right with Mark. So Mark, let's go back in time, if you'd be so kind. And let's talk about Las Vegas, which was already a happening thing in the 70s and 80s. Well, let's go back half a century. What was it like in the 70s and 80s when you first got here and you saw a place that was glittering, but was it growing?
Yeah, it was interesting. I moved there in 79, or Vegas in 79. And so I've been there, since. I mean, the stint with the military, and, I've lived in a couple other places as well in that period of time, but the majority of my time was in Las Vegas. And growing up in Las Vegas, I mean, there was only basically 250,000 people. So it's a long cry from where it was now. All the dirt roads and everything. And so it was very exciting. It was a small town. It still is a small town, and everybody almost like knew everybody, right? You went to school with everybody, all the casino kids, and the parents and stuff. And so it was a fun time. I mean, it was a fun time, growing up in Las Vegas in them years, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. And you saw the growth.
Yeah, I want to unpack something you just said because it struck me. You went to school with the people from the casinos. In other words, not just, okay, maybe the ones who didn't own the casinos, they sent their kids maybe someplace else, but people who were really running everything, their kids were kids. They went to the schools. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, some of them, were owners of the casinos, right? So, I mean, before all the corporations took over. But yeah, so, everything was basically family owned, I guess, if you want to call it that, back there, back in the 70s. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is really cool. It's so interesting you say because of the current mayor of Los Angeles, wonderful show, her honor, Shelley Berkeley is going to be on the podcast also, and she talks about going to high school in Las Vegas and knowing people and just being. And you're right. What an interesting place where 250,000 people is relatively small city in the United States of America. Now it's many. It's by the way, I think it's only 3, maybe plus 4 million in the entire surrounding metro area today, and yet it still has a small town feel. However, as I mentioned, you have 10 times that many people coming visiting, so it's just such a bustle compared to a small place. Where, by the way, it was on the map. It just wasn't the same kind of map. You made a very important point here. In those days, when you were doing this, growing up and starting building, casinos were family owned. And then at some point, big corporations came in and took over and built the monsters that we see today. I don't mean monsters in a negative sense. I mean monsters in terms of size. So what was it like to drive along the strip and see all the glitter and such? And yet these were relatively small places, weren't they?
Yeah, it was. I mean, Fremont Street, we used to cruise up and down Fremont Street in high school, right? And so that was the high school drag. And that was, you had the landmark, I mean, that was the first implosion. And then you had the Sands and so then you had all these implosions and stuff of all these, the Desert Inn and Frontier and, the Dunes and, just so many casinos that, you saw when you first came here, and they all got imploded, right, to bigger facilities, I guess, if you want to call it that, casinos and stuff. So yeah, and it was it was exciting time, for the
So it's
growth.
also interesting. Let's be blunt. Las Vegas is known 9 months out of the year, by the way. I'm going to say this. We might have another million people come moving here in the next year or so, but I'm going to tell everybody 9 months out of the year, Las Vegas is paradisiacal. It's so wonderful in terms of weather. It's pleasant enough and cool and warm and just delightful. 3 months out of the year, it is blazing hot. And one of the used attractions of casinos in the early days, obviously it goes back to the 60s, but even sometimes in the 70s, was not everybody had air conditioning. And one of the great attractions of the early casinos was that they had air conditioning. People would go in to, obviously, they're going to play and they're going to eat, was to be cool. And I don't mean just be cool like you're cool, going out with girls and such. That it was to be cool. I mean, that was a thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of people had swamp coolers back then, right? And so that was
Right.
sort of the thing back then, But yeah, it was.
So how did you personally, why did you select the building industry?
Well, I think ever since I was 13 years old, I always wanted to build and develop. I mean, it's just sort of a passion of mine ever since I was 13 years old. I, started doing a lot of different things, with, building little projects and stuff. I was into solar energy and, did that as well, when I was in high school. And so I just had a passion for it. And I was just fortunate enough um, when I got out of the service, I went to college, and then I got to meet this, wonderful gentleman, Ken Templeton, and we played basketball at the Sporting House, and so back in the day, that's where all the business deals were done back then, right? In the early days at the Sporting House, and so and so he just recruited me, and we started our first senior project in 1992, did 344 senior apartments, on Okie Valley View, and the rest was history, basically.
Wait a
But
minute. Let's unpack something, because this is, again, one of the reasons that I've asked that Mark be here with us today. We have people listening from all over the world. And let's be blunt. If you're living in Pakistan and Baluchistan or in India or anywhere in Africa and so most places, Latin America, even Europe, everybody wants to come to America because this is a land of opportunity. What you're describing, and here specifically in Las Vegas, is a unique American experience. And you can play basketball with other people, get to know them, because that's how you do anything is how you do everything. Am I right? How you do
Right.
anything, how you do it. So you play sports well, you do, and it's okay. And so you gravitate to somebody, and this person, maybe a little bit older, says, hey, let's do something together. And you just said, well, we're going to build 44 units. Let's be blunt. That's not a small gig. 44 senior housing units. That means laying out the plans. First of all, finding the land, laying out the plans, going to City Hall, do all the things that need to be done to be able to bring a project to fruition. And you were just out of high school?
I was in college. Yeah, I was
Okay,
in
you were
college.
just out of college. Hello.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah, very, very fortunate. Yeah, somebody gave me the opportunity. Absolutely. Yeah.
okay, but gave you the opportunity. And in addition to that, let's be blunt. You had been signaling this and attracting this since you were 13.
I believe so. Yes, that's sort of my mindset. Yes. So
Yeah,
you attract. Yes.
that's what I wanted you to be able to tell people and share with people around the world. Now, the world is evolving. There are a lot of places today that 10, 20, 30 years ago were closed and now are opening up. I mean, I work with people in Bangladesh, and I am amazed at how wonderfully conversant and pleasant and knowledgeable these young people are. It's so exciting. It's an American influence, I believe. So I love this idea that Mark is sharing with us called mindset. By the way, I think you said it better than I could possibly. Your mindset from the age of 13, you were already what we'll call a radio. You were sending out signals and attracting signals of saying, I want to build. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think it's a manifestation, and I think from over a period of years, and I just think that, when you got to prepare yourself, right? And so you got to be prepared when the opportunity comes. And so I was very fortunate that happened to be the case with me, actually. So very, very fortunate and blessed to have that.
Okay, so you hear what he's saying? He's using the terms blessed, fortunate. He didn't use the L word, which is, the four-letter UCK word with an L in the first letter. He didn't say luck, although you're implying it, and I'll tell you why. Because hard work enables somebody to be prepared when the opportunity comes. It wasn't just a happenstance. You had been working on certain things yourself, your skills, your ability. You read, you looked, hey, and then now when opportunity knocks or throws a basketball to you, you're prepared. Isn't that wonderful? That is the ability to manifest. Is that not true?
I believe so. Yes. I mean, that's my mindset on that. Yes.
Wow. And here's a guy, by the way, who's built more than 10,000 units throughout the United States of America. We're not talking 44 anymore. We're talking over 10,000. Now, by the way, speaking of that, we have wonderful sponsors that love our show. And we wouldn't have them on if we didn't think they're worthy of your time and attention. So we're going to be right back with more Mark and talk about building and sustainability and community right after this brief message. Only 44 seconds. Don't go away, because there's wonderful Mark on the other side of this. Be right back.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Good-looking, always looking for and finding the good. Our cup runneth over with good. His name is Mark Orshoski, and we're talking about the ability to manifest, to have a mindset, and to be involved in building sustainable, beneficial places for people throughout the country. And this is what his life is dedicated to. So, Mark, let's continue the journey. I want to call you an SOB. How do you like that? Now, look at that. When was the last time somebody called you an SOB and you smiled and you say, Barry, I trust you? What the heck is an SOB? So an SOB is a source of blessing.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
That's who you are, Mark Orshoski. So let's talk about this situation. Here you are, just out of college. You're working with this wonderful fellow, Tim, I think you said his name is, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you just built 44 units. That feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually 344 units. Yeah. So, but
Wait a minute. I want to correct myself. 344 units.
Our first project, yes. And so, it was a learning experience. I mean, lost money, but refinanced, so got it back. But learned a lot of life lessons in that first project. To help sustain us to get to bigger heights in the future.
Okay,
and learn from our mistakes.
Let's unpack a couple of things here, because I want everybody to understand that one of the geniuses, I believe, of the American experience, the American mindset, and you don't have to live in America to have this, is the ability to do something, grow, and no matter what the outcome is, like you said, we lost money, we made it back, we refinanced. Those life experiences are so valuable that they're worth far more than any, in quotation marks, formal education could ever provide. Is that fair to say?
Very fair to say. I believe that to be true, yes.
And now he says, well, this 344, which, by the way, took you years, a lot of sweat, a lot of stuff, losing money, then being able to refinance, getting some money back out, learning the life lessons. Tell us about how you go on now to, over the period of years, to build out thousands and thousands and thousands of units, and generally speaking, not lose.
Yeah, well, I think 33 years of life experiences will teach you that. And from different places around the country, I've been fortunate enough to do other things around around the country, and so you learn from other people, and so then that's valuable information. So you have different ideas from different people from not only the United States, but around the globe too. And so it's very it's very educational, and it's very exciting in my business, because you're trying to create something that's from a social aspect of it. You're trying to create community, right? And so that's sort of like the next generation of building to create cultural living communities that are sustainable, like gardens and and health centers for the social aspect of it, from the younger generation, the older generation. And they have some great programs around like in Canada and Sweden, and other parts of the world, that they have great programs on that. So I'm just trying to study that, to bring that into the communities.
So look at some of these wonderful ideas and words that Mark has shared with us. And they're not just words from him, because what he's done is he incorporates them into the physical structures called apartments, homes, whatever they are, where people are living. And I love this, the ability of sustainability, of health centers. And health centers, you mentioned, it can be gardens. In other words, anything and everything that creates this remarkable process where people can actually live and thrive. So I want to make mention to you something, this wonderful word build, which is the essence of maybe your middle name, Mark Builds Orshoski. Build is a beautiful word. It's spelled B-U-I-L-D. Now, I'm going to tell you a quick story, and then I'll relate it. When I was 9 years old, I had a great opportunity, because I lived in Boston, Massachusetts. We had a huge snowstorm, and instead of going back to sleep because they called off school and such, so I went out to shovel snow, because we had 9 inches, and it was cold. And I'm 9 years old, and I made 25 cents a week as allowance. So I said, I'm going to go out shoveling snow. So I got bundled up and did everything I could to keep warm. I had a cup of milk for breakfast, went out and started knocking on doors and all the things. Suffice it to say, I made $55 from 7:25 in the morning until 5:15 in the evening when it got dark. When I came back home, my father had made me a cup of hot chocolate, sat me down, and said, my dear beloved son, he used to love calling me that. dear beloved, how do you spell the word business? So I'm 9, I'm smart. Business. He said, that's right. Notice that the U comes before the I, because whenever you're out there helping other people, the I will always be taken care of. So I made $55 at a time where I made 25 cents a week. I was feeling great. It took me 2 decades to internalize that. I'm using the thing to teach, to share with you and everybody listening, the word build, the U comes before the I. When you were doing what you're talking about, looking at what you can do to be of benefit to others, build community, sustainability, healthcare centers, the I will always be taken care of. Is that fair to say, Mark?
I believe that to be true as well. Yes. I believe you
Wow.
can't, I always tell people, when you're feeling down, go help somebody. You know what? You'll feel great as soon as you help somebody, right? So, it adds value, a lot more value to your life. Yes.
Well, I'm gonna, with your permission, I thought of an acronym for your name. I figured it out during the break. Can I tell it to you?
Absolutely.
Okay, Mark, MARK, stands for manifesting. You said that, manifesting awareness, resilience, and kindness.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
That's who you are. In other words, I made the acronym from your vibe. That's who you are. Awareness, resilience, kindness, and you manifest it, because that's what you talk. You talked about manifestation, the ability to understand that we're here to serve and for greater purpose. I'd like, if you'd be so kind, we only have a few more minutes, talk about what it is that you're doing now, most of with your time, in terms of the nonprofit world, and the ability to utilize your great life lessons over decades of building and helping and growing situations. What are you doing now in the world of nonprofits?
Well, I think, a lot has to do with, I did a lot of stuff with the Hope for the City, in Las Vegas, and, Hope for the Kids. And, was very involved with that, especially during the pandemic. And, it's just, we're trying to, do a lot of different things with the seniors, right? And so with the foster kids. And so, we're trying to create that environment to create a, uh, um, connection between the older generation and the younger generation. So that's sort of the big push for me in the future, just because, health wise, right? Studies have shown that, when the younger generation, they grow up better, they're better in school, and then the older generation, they're healthier. Not even just be it from a social aspect of, not even what the food they eat or whatever, just a sense of value of purpose. And so, that's sort of very, near and dear to my heart. So that's sort of, what my current vision is as far as that. I belong to, there's probably been about 12 or 14 different nonprofits that I've been involved with, and so I've just taken different things from different nonprofits and, trying to make that, benefit, what I'm trying to create. Right.
Again, I am so humbled and honored that Mark has made the time to be with us today, because I want to show, this is, to me, the heart of the American experience. People think of America and they think of building and people making money and growing. It's like, all of that's true. It's all wonderful, as long as it's foundational with service. And what you've been talking about here is how you bring about your experience as a physical builder to build others with mindset, positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant mindsets, so that they can go on. And whether they're in difficult situations like foster kids, let's be blunt, being a foster child is one of the more challenging aspects of growing up. It's just because the nature of the stability or lack thereof in households. And yet when you come along and Mark brings his secret sauce, which is the mindset, and manifesting, as I said, awareness, resilience, kindness, then you can create a world where this one person can go on and touch hundreds of others in such a wonderful way. this to me is the American experience. Is that fair?
I believe that to be true as well. I think that's what we're all here for, right? We're all, we're all here to serve each other, right? And so, and
Well,
nobody's
you say it, and I want to make sure, because those are your words, not mine. I'm glad you did. Once that happens, that people recognize that we're here for service, and the you comes before the I, as my father taught me many decades ago now, then it will all happen, because it's called a law of attraction. People think of the word law, they think of the police with that thing spiraling and that sound, woo, 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 and they get nervous and they constrict. That's what they think of law. Law really stands for love awakens wisdom. And in your case, it's so true. Love awakens wisdom, which is an expansion of consciousness, isn't it?
You're right. Yes.
And when you're expanding your consciousness, by definition, that is called service. And service is all about goodness and about what we call willingly giving. So we only have another minute or so before we have to close out. I'm sorry even to say these words. In the world of building, of growing and business, oftentimes people do things on a transactional basis. They give in order to receive. Okay, better than not giving at all. What Mark does, what he's learned through his life, I'm saying this about you, is that he's a willing giver. Willing giving means he gives because giving is a benefit. He's there to be of service. When you're in willing givingness, it's not about transactional. It's about being of service. And willingly giving creates graciously receiving. And when you open up those channels of goodness, everything wonderful happens. Am I correct? Is that truly, that's what it's called, willingly giving rather than just giving?
Yes, I believe that to be true as well, Barry. I mean, I always believe that in my whole heart, that's true.
And you live it. That's the better part.
Right.
The reason I wanted Mark here is because he is the embodiment of what we're talking about. And again, when I say American, it's because America is exceptional in the sense that this is really the message of America. This is what, pardon me, our great country society is built upon. The ability for all people to be equal, created equal and before the law, and to pursue the benefits of all the good things that are here. And now it's planetary. There are no geographic boundaries anymore, right, Mark? Because we're so open. So I'm sorry to say these words. Our time together has come to a close. I have 3 quick questions for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
Number 1, will you come back again?
Yes.
Yeah. Number 2, wonderful Mark Orshoski, you have only 44 seconds to answer this question. What is your most fervent desire?
My first desire is to create a social change that, that benefits, the younger generation and the older generation, to create a society where you have community and you have love, right, for each other and for human kindness. As
I said, isn't that part of your name?
That is part of my name.
Manifesting awareness, resilience, kindness. And number 3, may I give you a hug in front of 511,922 people around the world?
Absolutely.
Okay, hug stands for heartfelt, unlimited giving. Are you ready? 1,
I'm ready.
2, 3.
Okay. All right. We got it.
And again, this is from Mark and Barry. This show is not about him, great guy that he is, or about Barry, fabulous. It's about you. YOU, you becoming the best you possible. When you're the best you make the world a better place. Build more harmony, build more bridges, you create more joy, happiness, peace, and love. So a blessing from Mark and Barry is go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Mark, don't go away.